what if, like with the whole monogamy stuff like that, it's not attractive for, I don't know if you guys agree with me. What if the male isn't, like, for example, it's not a high value male, he can't pay your bills and all that and all that. I don't think it should be tolerated that he's an adulterer. At this point, you're just trash. Like, there's no point for me to take you serious if you want to flirt with all these people or slide in people's DMs. I'm not. No. What do you mean that if you're not doing?
All praises to Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi, bahasham Racha Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone that rule well and labor in the word and doctrine. Shalom and in peace. May that be unto the elect of the nation of Israel. Now that's an excerpt from a woman from the Fresh and Fit podcast, concerning monogamy and, monogyny. What do you say? Monogyny or polygyny. And saying the opposite of monogamy for a man is adultery. Now, what is adultery according to the scriptures? So Exodus 20:14, thou shalt not commit adultery. Now that is the first mention of the English word adultery. So let's go into the Blue Letter Bible. Right, Exodus 20:14, thou shalt not commit adultery. What's the word there for adultery? The word is na'ap, and it says to commit adultery, usually of man, always with wife of another. Okay. Adultery of women, participle. Idolatrous worship, committing spiritual fornication. Let's get a precept upon that, because that's a form of adultery. Alright, this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, and verse 12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them, the corruption of life. Right, now I bet when we scroll down, one of these words here would be fornication. Well, let's see. It says adultery of women, idolatrous worship figuratively. To commit adultery of man, adultery of women, participle, idolatrous worship, same thing. Okay, it doesn't. But when we go into the word, what's the word fornication? Okay, let's see these. Let's go into adultery in the New Testament, because I believe that would be linked to that word there.
Strong's G 3431, Moichuo.
Commit adultery, to be an adulterer. To commit adultery with, have unlawful intercourse with another's wife. Of the wife to suffer adultery, be debauched. A Hebrew idiom, the word is used of those who at a woman's solicitation are drawn away to idolatry, i.e. to the eating of things sacrificed to idols. So they were good definitions there. Still looking for that word porneia. I know it's in Revelation, I believe. I believe. Right, the word for fornication says, what did it say in Wisdom of Solomon? It says the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life. So it's the beginning of spiritual fornication. Well, let's see. It says to prostitute one's body to the lust of another, to give oneself to unlawful sexual intercourse. What's that? Adultery. Commit fornication, metaphor, to be given to idolatry, to worship idols, to permit oneself to be drawn away by another into idolatry. Right, what did it say? Idolatry is spiritual adultery. Right, so let's go back to that word there, not up. So now she was talking about, now, if she said, a man that's adultery is trash, she's not wrong. But what she thinks adultery is contrary to what the scriptural definition of adultery is. According to, all the red pill coaches or whatever you call them, the manosphere, there's a lot of, so-called the double standards of this, the that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And there's controversy on both sides from, the opposing sex. Now, when you go into the scriptures, there is different stipulations on what adultery is for a woman and what it is for a man, right? Because adultery is what's being defined. So let's see some other uses of this word. Exodus 20:10, and the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbour's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. Right, so what's that? That means adultery, right? Let's put it this way. If a man lays with a woman that is unmarried, so-called single in this world, and he's got a wife, he is not committing adultery. Now, it might be unsavory unto his wife, she might not like it, but according to the law, he's not committing a sin. Now, if he's married and he lays with another woman and she's married, that's adultery because it's another man's wife. That's why this definition, when we go into the word adultery, that's why it keeps saying of another's wife, of another man's wife, a different wife. And so him and her would surely be put to death. And Jake loves this shit and flexing with it like it's some big achievement. But that's why I fucked your bitch. And that's the first thing that comes to Jake's head. I don't like that nigga, I'm gonna fuck his bitch, man. And that's it. This is wicked. And if she's saying it in its true biblical form, there's nothing wrong with what she said. But from how I perceive and read what was said by her, I perceive she's claiming adultery is when a man that's in a relationship or married, however you want to say it, goes and lies with a single woman, for example. Would she believe that to be adultery? Because if what she's doing, if what she said initially is defining it there, that's of course an issue. So what she's doing there is twisting the scripture. So that of course is an issue. Right, Proverbs 6:32. But whosoever committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. Right, so that's wicked. That's, again, is likened unto idolatry. We are the proverbial wife of our husband, the Lord. So that would be spiritual adultery. That's why it's called the beginning of spiritual fornication. Let's go into one now. Deuteronomy 22. Deuteronomy 22 and verse 22. If a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, then there shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman, so thou shalt put away evil from Israel. Right, so that's the same as that last one we read. Because they've both done it, they both consented unto do evil. That's an issue. Right, verse 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto an husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then ye shall bring both of them unto the gate of the city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel because she cried not, being in the city, and the man because he has humbled his neighbour's wife. So shalt thou put away evil from among you. So he, what does it say? Oops. The damsel because she cried not, being in the city, and the man because he hath humbled his neighbour's wife. The word for humbled. Humbled, the word is aina, and it says to be occupied, be busied with, to afflict, oppress, humble, be afflicted, be bowed down. Right, oppressed, to be put down, become low, to be humiliated, afflicted. And the words here in the KJ is afflict 50 times, humble 11 times, force 5 times, exercised, sing, lianoth, troubled, weakened. Now if we go into some other translations here. Humbled, violated another man's wife. A lot of them say humbled. Violated. humiliated. Okay, so because he's forced and she's not, resisted, that's an issue. But why? Because that's adultery. Okay. Verse 25. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as a man riseth against his neighbour and slayeth him, even so is the matter. Right, so it's like, what could she do? Because this man, right there, it says he humbled, so he found her, and then laid hands on her, right, and she's married. So he's humbled, he's violated, he's humiliated his neighbour's wife. So he gets a punishment. Now this one gets more specific, with the force. Force, maybe she cried and he persisted, The word is chazak, to strengthen, prevail, harden, be strong, become strong, be courageous, be firm, grow firm, be resolute, be sore, prevail upon, to be firm, to be caught fast. It's definitely not to support. Right, because that's like I said there, there's in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as a man riseth against his neighbour and slayeth him, even so is this matter. For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. Okay, so he persisted. He didn't say, oh shit, you're not feeling it. He persisted. And what? She's married, she's betrothed. Betrothed is an ancient way of saying engaged. Right? I believe espoused is also one. And then that person becomes your spouse upon consummation of the marriage. How is the marriage consummated? Sex. Let's get a precept upon that. Genesis 24 and verse 67. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. Right? They weren't playing board games. They weren't having a tea party. They were having sexual intercourse. Now, proceeding with this, 27, for he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. Verse 28, if a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, right, so the difference here is she's not engaged, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, 50 shekels of father, and she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her. He may not put her away all his days. So the word for lay hold is thapash. Thapash, it says to catch, handle, lay hold, take of, seize, wield, to lay hold of, seize, arrest, catch, to grasp in order to wield, use skillfully, to be seized, be arrested, be caught, be taken, captured, to catch, grasp with the hands. And it says take, 27, take in 12, handle 8, hold 8, catch 4, surprise 2, miscellaneous 4. And I believe it was used when Pharaoh's wife called Joseph. Genesis 37. So I'm getting a call. That's all. You threw off my groove. That threw off my flow. But I'm just going to read this and close it up. So this is Genesis 37 and verse 7. No, it's not 39 and verse 7. Salakia. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me. But he refused, and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. There is none great in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against the Most High? Right, so would it be a sin if this woman was single? Yeah, and let's pretend Joseph was, well, let's not use this example. Let's just keep reading, man. It wouldn't be a sin if this was an unmarried woman and Joseph was married or whatever. So it says, there is none greater in this I've read that. Verse 10, and it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her, or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time, that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand, and fled, and got him out. Now the word for caught is the word for thapash, to bring it full circle. Because that scripture is going into, of course, being seized, being arrested, and then being aina, humbled, afflicted, oppressed. What is the the outcome of that? The shekels, I believe it's 30 shekels of silver, will be given to the maid's father, and then they would be married. And the man can't put her away, can't just go around doing that and then not providing and taking care, because virginity in the ancient world was a grave custom, meaning people took it very seriously. There was no hot girl summers in the ancient world. Okay, so that would mean should be devalued for marriage. So that's why it would be as like unto a dowry. It'd be to reimburse the loss of property from the father, because his daughter would do stuff around the house, maybe do some sewing, making garments, doing housework, so on and so forth. So for the loss of that, to compensate it, that's why that dowry would be given. So in this case, this is in replace of the dowry he would have received. And then this man can't put her away. And that's just the law. But to go into the wider issue of this, adultery is when a married woman sleeps with a man that isn't her husband, or a man, married or not, sleeps with a woman that is married. Okay, I pray that was edifying. Next video, Lord willing. Shalom.